Hey there, transit enthusiasts. Welcome back to our channel, where we explore innovative ways to expand New Yorkers' access to public transit on a budget. Today, we're diving into an exciting project, constructing a tunnel to connect Bay Ridge in Brooklyn to St. George in Staten Island. Plus, we're creating 2 new subway lines to integrate Staten Island into the rest of the subway system. Sounds ambitious, right? Well, buckle up, because we're making it happen cost effectively, of course. This video is part 1 of a series about connecting Staten Island on a budget. First, let's understand the challenge. Currently, there's no direct subway connection between Brooklyn and Staten Island. Commuters rely on buses, ferries, and cars. As someone who lived on Staten Island for a few years and worked in Manhattan, I can assure you commuting this way is time-consuming and inconvenient. Over the years, I've heard a lot of different proposals for giving Staten Islanders an easier commute into the city. Some suggest simple solutions like increasing ferry service from various points on the island. Others propose wild ideas like building gondolas that stretch across New York Harbor from the Battery to the North Shore. But none of these quite pack the punch of a dedicated rail connection. There are 3 rail extensions into Staten Island that I consider fairly reasonable. The first one is an extension of the Hudson-Bergen line over the Bayonne Bridge into Staten Island. This extension would be helpful to move folks back and forth to Jersey, but there's really higher priority corridors we should be focused on first. The second rail option is running trains across the Verrazano Bridge. This extension would be very helpful for people on the South Shore, but if this were the only option, it would mean a lot of backtracking for folks on the North Shore, likely adding time to their commute instead of shortening it. And finally, the third, and in my opinion, the best option is building a tunnel to connect Bay Ridge, Brooklyn to St. George, Staten Island. This tunnel would serve both the north and south shores of Staten Island, providing the most direct route onto the island. It would seamlessly integrate with St. George's Ferry Terminal, the largest transit hub on the island. It'd do all this without disrupting existing traffic patterns. So this is the option we're going to dive into further in today's video. This tunnel idea isn't new, though. In fact, it's over 100 years old. Let's take a trip back to 1923. This was the year when an ambitious plan was unveiled to build a tunnel connecting Brooklyn to Staten Island. The idea was to create a direct, efficient rail link between these 2 boroughs, bypassing the need for ferries and lengthy commutes. The original plan called for a tunnel approximately 2 miles long, designed to accommodate both passenger and freight trains. Construction began with high hopes, but the project faced significant challenges. Despite initial progress, with around 150 feet of tunnel actually completed, work came to a halt due to financial constraints and political disagreements. So why did the project stop? Funding issues combined with shifting priorities and economic pressures of the time meant that the tunnel was left unfinished. But here's the exciting part. We're essentially picking up where they left off. In our Fantasy Transit series, we're reviving these 1923 plans and reimagining them with today's technology and innovations. We're ready to tackle the same challenge, but with modern solutions and a budget-conscious approach. So how much would it cost to build this tunnel in today's world? To estimate this, we looked at the Gateway Project, a rail infrastructure project involving new tunnels under the Hudson River. The Gateway Project's cost for a 4.5-mile tunnel is around $16 billion, which breaks down to about $3.56 billion per mile. Given that our proposed tunnel is about 2 miles long, we applied the cost per mile from the Gateway Project to estimate the total cost. Here's the math. Tunnel length, 2 miles. Cost per mile, $3.56 billion. Total estimated cost, 2 miles times $3.56 billion per mile equals $7.12 billion. So the estimated cost to construct our modern-day tunnel from Brooklyn to Staten Island is approximately $7.12 billion. This estimate reflects the advancements and complexities in tunneling technology since the 1920s. $7 billion may sound like a lot, but if you compare it to the cost of some of the MTA's other projects, it really isn't that much. For instance, when they remodeled Fulton Street Station, they paid $1.4 billion. Yes, that's billion with a B, just to remodel that station alone. They spent $2.4 billion to extend the 7 train a mere mile and a half to Hudson Yards. And the 2nd Avenue subway's first phase, which added 3 stations, cost a staggering $4.5 billion, roughly $1.5 billion per station. The planned extension to 125th Street is estimated to cost around $6.3 billion for just 3 more stations, bringing the cost per station to approximately $2.1 billion. If the MTA can spend billions on remodeling stations and extending lines by short distances, then investing in a project that provides a direct, efficient connection between 2 boroughs feels like a bargain, especially considering that nearly 500,000 Staten Islanders are currently being underserved. Why it hasn't already happened is a question worth pondering. I'll leave it up to you to debate that in the comments. By creating a direct subway link between Brooklyn and Staten Island, we're not just building new infrastructure, we're building a more connected, efficient, and accessible transit system for all New Yorkers. So where will the MTA get the money for this project? Honestly, that's a tough question. The federal government still has a significant amount of unallocated funds from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment Act passed in 2021, which could potentially be used. Additionally, there might be opportunities for private investments from corporations with a large presence on Staten Island. More on that in my upcoming Connecting Staten Island Phase 2 video. Another approach could be to reevaluate and perhaps delay some less impactful projects in favor of prioritizing this one. For example, once Phase 2 of the 2nd Avenue subway is completed, there's been talk about extending it across 125th Street. While connecting 125th Street would certainly be beneficial, the area already has substantial transit infrastructure. Deprioritizing this for a direct connection for Staten Island, which is currently underserved, might be a more impactful use of resources. But since this is a fantasy transit video, let's imagine the funds magically appear. What could this new connection bring us? Once the tunnel's built, it will be just a few yards from the Staten Island Railroad St. George Terminal. Connecting it directly to the existing railroad should be virtually cost-free. This connection would allow all existing train stops on the Staten Island Railroad to provide service into Brooklyn. Currently, the SIR operates trains consisting of 4 cars. To keep costs low, I suggest maintaining this setup and avoiding any station modifications on Staten Island itself. As for the line designation, my proposal is to bring back the V bullet, this time in brown instead of the orange. There would be 2 service patterns on Staten Island. Local service would be available for all 21 stations from St. George to Tottenville, and express service would be offered during rush hours. This pattern calls for trains to stop at St. George and then run express to New Dorp, just as it does today. After the train makes its journey from St. George through the new tunnel to Bay Ridge, it'll pull into the 65th Street rail yard. This yard is conveniently located just a few blocks away from the BMT 4th Avenue Line's 59th Street station. While there might be some minor costs for this connection, they should be relatively small. Once the V trains hit the 4th Avenue line, I propose they zoom express to Atlantic Avenue. From there, they'll take the same route as the R trains through the Montague Street Tunnel, and then the V trains will then split off to the J and Z Nassau Street line and travel up to Chambers Street, where they'll make their final stop. Overall, this plan would introduce a new V line stretching across 30 stations and over 24 miles. It would offer nearly 500,000 Staten Islanders a convenient one-seat ride into Lower Manhattan, with seamless transfers to more than 13 other subway lines and the Long Island Railroad. And the best part, all of this comes at the relatively low cost of just one subway tunnel. So that's my proposal for connecting the Staten Island Railway to the rest of the city. If you're interested in exploring each station and connection in more detail, stay tuned for mock announcements and maps coming up next in this video. Also, keep an eye out for the upcoming Connecting Staten Islanders Phase 2 video. Thanks for watching.
This is Chambers Street. Transfer is available to the 4, 5, 6, J, and Z trains.
This is an accessible station. The elevator is at the rear of the platform.
This is a Brooklyn-bound V local train. The next stop is Fulton Street. This is Fulton Street. Transfer is available to the 2, 3, 4, 5, A and C trains. Connection is available to PATH.
This is an accessible station. The elevator is at the front of the platform.
This is a Brooklyn-bound V local train. The next stop is Broad Street. This is Broad Street. This is a Brooklyn-bound V local train. The next stop is Court Street. This is Court Street. Transfer is available to the 2, 3, 4, and 5 trains. This is a Staten Island-bound V local train. The next stop is J Street Metrotech. This is J Street Metrotech. Transfer is available to the A, C, and F trains.
This is an accessible station. Elevators are at the center of the platform.
This is a Staten Island-bound V local train. The next stop is DeKalb Avenue. This is DeKalb Avenue. Transfer is available to the B and Q trains.
This is an accessible station. Elevators are at the rear of the platform.
This is a Staten Island-bound V local train. The next stop is Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center. This is Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center. Transfer is available to the 2, 3, 4, 5, B, Q, and R trains. Connection is available to the Long Island Railroad.
This is an accessible station. Elevators are at the center of the platform.
This is a Staten Island-bound V Express train. The next stop is 36th Street. This is 36th Street. Transfer is available to the D train. This is a Staten Island-bound V Express train. The next stop is 59th Street.
This is 59th Street. Transfer is available to the N, R, and X trains.
This is an accessible station. Elevators are at the rear of the platform.
This is a Staten Island-bound V train. The next stop is St. George.
This is St. George. Transfer is available to the V Express and X trains. Connection is available to the Staten Island Ferry and NYC Ferry.
This is an accessible station. Elevators are at the front of the platform.
This is a Tottenville-bound V local train. The next stop is Tompkinsville. This is Tompkinsville. This is a Tottenville-bound V local train. The next stop is Stapleton. This is Stapleton. This is a Tottenville-bound V local train. The next stop is Clifton. This is Clifton. This is a Tottenville-bound V local train. The next stop is Grasmere. This is Grasmere. This is a Tottenville-bound V local train. The next stop is Old Town. This is Old Town. This is a Tottenville-bound V local train. The next stop is Dongan Hills. This is Dongan Hills.
This is an accessible station. The elevator is at the front of the platform.
This is a Tottenville-bound V local train. The next stop is Jefferson Avenue. This is Jefferson Avenue. This is a Tottenville-bound V local train. The next stop is Grant City. This is Grant City. This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is New Dorp. This is St. George. Transfer is available to the V local and X trains. Connection is available to the Staten Island Ferry and NYC Ferry.
This is an accessible station. Elevators are at the front of the platform.
This is a Tottenville-bound V Express train. The next stop is New Dorp. This is New Dorp.
This is an accessible station. Elevators are at the rear of the platform.
This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is Oakwood Heights. This is Oakwood Heights. This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is Bay Terrace. This is Bay Terrace. This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is Great Kills. This is Great Kills.
This is an accessible station. The elevator is at the front of the platform.
This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is Eltingville. This is Eltingville. Connection is available to the S79 Select bus service. This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is Annandale. This is Annandale. This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is Huguenot. This is Huguenot. This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is Prince's Bay. This is Prince's Bay. This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is Pleasant Plains. This is Pleasant Plains. This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is Richmond Valley. This is Richmond Valley. This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next stop is Arthur Kill. This is Arthur Kill.
This is an accessible station. The elevator is at the front of the platform.
This is a Tottenville-bound V train. The next and last stop is Tottenville.
This is Tottenville.
This is an accessible station. An elevator is available at the rear of the platform.
This is the last stop on this train. Thank you for riding New York City Transit.